Okay, I'm changing it up just a little bit. I thought I'd make a little video. Instead of putting it after the lesson today, I'm going to put it before the lesson to help hopefully give you a little some of the foundation to help get you through the lesson and feel a little better about parabolas. So parabolas are the set of all points in a plane that are equidistant. That just means same distance from a fixed line. We call that our directrix, and a fixed point, we call that a focus. Now here's the key, the focus always inside a parabola. Now you know what parabolas are. You graph a quadratic and you get a parabola. So we've seen a lot of these already. Okay, this is kind of a formal definition. So focus, directrix, kind of two key things. Well, parabolas can open either vertically or horizontally. If they're vertical, and this is the one we've seen before, y equals ax minus h squared plus k. That's kind of our vertex form or standard form of the equation, and you should be kind of familiar with that. They can also open horizontally now. This would not be a function because it would be opening right or left, but x equals a excuse me, y minus k squared plus h. Now what does this a do out front? If a is positive, then it opens in the positive direction. So in the vertical, it would be opening upward. Of course, if a is negative, it opens down. For horizontal, if a is positive, it would open to the right. If a is negative, it's going to open to the left. Now the vertex is represented by hk. Now let me just build on that a little bit here. So a lot of the ones we see, they're going to have the vertex right at the origin, 0, 0. So think about this equation. Well, if h was 0 and k was 0, you would just get y equals ax squared. A lot simpler, right? So same equation, it's just h and k is 0. How about in this one? If k and h are 0, then you get x equals ay squared. Most of what we work with in this lesson is actually going to be these simplified equations because h and k are 0, okay? The focus and directrix are both c units away from the vertex. So if I go back to this image real quick, so this distance here is c. This distance here is c, okay? So let's see where that c comes from. Well, there is no letter c in this equation, but there's an a, and that's what ties it together. So absolute value of a, again the negative just tells you the direction it opens. So a is 1 over 4c, and that's how we can figure out what c is. Let's go look at a few examples. Write the equation for the graph that's the set of all points in the plane, that just tells us we're a parabola, from the point 0, negative 8, line y equals 8. Let's just do a quick sketch. Let's picture that. Where is 0, negative 8? Oh, it's down here somewhere, right? Y equals 8's up here. So there's our directrix, there's our focus. Well, then the parabola's got to be doing this. So it's opening downwards. Write the equation for the graph. Well, what's this distance c? Well, it's 8, isn't it? So let's write our equation. So it's a y equation. It's in the form y equals ax squared because it's opening downward. And so y equals, well, what's a? Remember, a is 1 over 4c. So our c value, if you look at it here, is an 8. So a equals 1 over 4 times 8. Well, that's 1 over 32. Okay. Now it is negative because we're opening downward. So we have negative 1 over 32 times x squared. Now we could go graph that. In fact, let's graph that real quick. So y equals negative 1 over 32 x squared. Again, just using decimals here. Okay, so there's our parabola. And again, I guess it's kind of hard to visualize. I could go do the line y equals 8, maybe see that. But just plug things in, okay? Trust our relationships. You'll be in good shape. Okay, how about this type of problem? Identify the focus and directrix. Okay, so now they give us the equation and they want the focus and directrix. So negative 1/18 y squared. Let's just picture this. Now we're going to go use Desmos. But x equals, that means it's opening right or left. It's negative, so it's got to be opening to the left. Okay? And so vertex to the origin, I already kind of sketched that in. So this right here is the key. So remember, a equals 1 over 4c. So here's my a. So 1/18 equals 1 over 4c. Well, let's cross multiply or just flip these however you want to picture it. So that means 4c would equal 18. Let's divide 4 by both sides. Hey, c equals 9/2 if I reduce it, right? So what's the focus? Well, the focus is going to be 9/2 units this way. So my focus would be what? Negative 9/2, 0. My directrix is going to be 9/2 this way, and it's going to be a line. And so it would be the line x equals 9/2. Okay? And of course, I've got Desmos over here. Let's go ahead and I already typed that graph in. So of course you can see it opening there. Again, you don't see the focus or the directrix on there, but that just kind of helps us visualize maybe the parabola. Okay, let's go look at one more. Identify the vertex, focus, directrix of the equation. Now look at this equation. Its general form, we're going to turn it into standard form. Now when you run into a problem like this on the assignment, you could go type this thing, by the way, right into Desmos. In fact, let me show you. I've got it right here. And there it is. I mean, you could just type it in just like you see it, and Desmos is going to graph it for you. So that's pretty cool. Okay. So if you just had to match a graph or something, you don't even have to hardly think. Just type it in and match the graph. But let me show you what I do want you to be able to do on something like this. Let's turn this thing into our vertex form. All right. So let's make it match kind of our normal, our standard equations. So this one's got the y squared. Let's rearrange it a little. I'm going to add 12x to the other side. So 12x equals y squared plus 2y plus 37. Because we've got x equals stuff, right, if we want to make it match our normal equation. So all I did was add 12x to the other side. Well, we're going to complete the square right here to make this look like our standard form over here. We want to make it look something like this, okay? So let's do that. So 12x equals y squared plus, that's just a 2, y plus something plus 37. Well, what would go in the box? Half of 2 is 1, squared is a 1. Now watch how I do this. I just added 1 to this side of the equation. A lot of times we'll add 1 to the other side. You could do that. But I'm going to get x by itself over here. So I'm just going to subtract 1 right here. Now notice I'm just working on this right side of the equation. So I just added 1, subtracted 1. Really I just added 0 to this equation. So let's see where that gives us. So this now factors to y plus 1 squared plus 36. Let's get x by itself. So let's just divide 12 by both sides, or in other words, multiply by 1/12, right? And so that gives me x equals 1/12 y plus 1 squared plus 3. Notice we just put that thing in vertex form or standard form. Now I could get the vertex easy. It's 3, -1. My focus and directrix, here's my a value. So I could do 1/12 equals 1 over 4c. Hey, you find your c value. You could find the focus and directrix real quick if you needed to. Okay. Let me just show you visually on my graph here. If I click over on Desmos, see if I can get that to come up. So I've got, let me get rid of one of these. And let me get rid of that one too. Okay, so here are, I already typed that in just to save time. Notice if I turn those off, it's the exact same graph. Okay, so this was the form they gave us, completed the square. turned it into Vertex form, standard form there. Okay, so I hope this kind of helps gear you up, get you through the lesson. It is long, but take your time, even if you break it up over a couple days. There's not that many lessons this try. You know, if you did a couple a week, you'd be in good shape. So take your time going through. Hope you wrote these things down. They'll help you get through.